Here's one. In case you haven't figured it out yet, Republicans own the Bible. There's a Virginia representative, this guy Dave Brat. Remember him? He's the one that kicked what's his name's ass. Who was the Jewish guy who was the House leader? Who was that? Was always looking over Boner's shoulder. Cantor, Eric Cantor. Remember Dave Brat, who's a college professor, a Republican. And he kicked Eric Cantor completely out of Congress in the 2014 Republican primary. And he informed the world that the Republicans own the Bible while speaking to this crazy fucking maniac, Sandy Rios. She has a radio program called American Family Radio. Here's the story. Dave Brat was particularly pissed off because Obama referenced the Bible in his partisan comments and criticisms of the Republicans. In November, Obama had said, quote, apparently they, being the Republicans, are scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America. This when the Republicans were, putting their hands over their ears and chanting the little babyish drivel that they chant about their unwelcoming attitude about Syrian refugees. Remember that? Now, his comments apparently have been interpreted by some as a reference to James 1, verse 27 in the Bible, which, I don't have the whole quote, but part of it reads, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. You're right. So when Obama said apparently they're scared of widows and orphans coming to the United States, I don't think he was making a biblical reference at all. I think he was just saying, we've got widows and orphans coming here, primarily because the United States has totally bombed, killed, destroyed, and blown into red mist so many of the fathers and husbands. But that's a different argument. So Brat, while he was on this sick Sandy Rios' program, said, quote, he's using the Christian tradition and trying to bring about compassion by bonking Republicans over the head with the Bible. It's almost a comedy routine on what compassion and love is. He is mocking his enemies in order to compel a larger federal state, taxes or something, using the tradition of love. Our side, this crazy fuckhead went on, our side, the conservative side, needs to re-educate its people that we own the entire tradition, the Bible. Republicans own the Bible. And they own Christianity. You're goddamn right they do. They own every bit of it. That's why it is such a filth hole, all of it. It's thanks to the Republicans. And then he said, if you lose the moral argument, you lose the policy argument every time. So we need to reclaim the moral argument when we're so strong. They own the Bible now, huh? Just for shits and giggles, I may wind up voting for Donald Trump because I think Donald Trump has got these religious fucks just totally twisted. Totally. They keep voting for him. The evangelicals. Donald Trump's relationship to religion is the same as my relation to a poisonous snake. He doesn't have anything to do with it. But he's a hustler and a promoter. We know this. Come on, we know this. He's not a smart man, but he damn sure understands human nature. To the degree that a pitchman or a carnival barker understands human nature, and believe me, they do. Trump understands two essential elements of human nature, fear and greed, not necessarily in that order. Fear and greed. Fear and greed. He's got them nailed. And you show me a Christian who's not eat up with fear and greed, and I'll show you someone who's not a Christian. Oh, what's the greed, Malloy? The greed? The greed is, well, if I live a certain way, I get to go to heaven and be with Jesus, and you don't. I want to see the Lord. Only not yet. Well, if you want to see the Lord so bad, come here. Let me send you on your way. No, not yet. What are you afraid of? So the Republicans now, Dave Brat, the guy that sent the Jew on his way, which I'm sure made all the fundamental Christians real happy. They only want the Jews so they can murder them when Jesus comes back. But Dave Brat, the guy who sent Eric Cantor out to be a lobbyist or whatever, has declared that the Republicans own Christianity and the Bible and Jesus and God, I guess. And the truth is, Dave Brat is speaking the truth. Of course they own it. That's why it is such a sewer of corruption. Because when the Republicans decided to let the world know that they owned Christianity, just in that moment, whatever remained of the teachings of this Rabbi Carpenter 2,000 years ago that had any value where it concerned respect, decency, love, kindness, all of it got flushed down the nearest shitter. That's what the Republicans did. They absolutely turned Christianity from a pacifist philosophy that I think it was 2,000 years ago into a raging, foaming, spittle-flying, red-eyed fury. Or am I being too subtle? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. You can begin in the morning with Bill Press and then end your day screaming with me, Mike Malloy, weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.